Yes, ladies and gentlemen, episode 71 of Pokemon Horizons titled An Encounter at Crystal Pool just dropped, and in this episode, our heroes meet Briar and Perrin, the two DLC characters of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. What do we learn about them? Let's talk about it. Our heroes finally get to the top of Crystal Pool. There, they see a sign that says that the Crystal Pool can allow for people to meet the deceased. They don't see Briar nearby though, so Friede heads out to try and find her. While our heroes' Pokemon are having fun in the water, an angry Milotic pops up out of nowhere. When they read the Pokedex on it, it's said to be a docile Pokemon, which is very different from how it's acting here. It then terrestrializes into a ghost type, which kinda matches the idea that the Crystal Pool allows you to talk to the deceased. Regardless, our heroes begin battling. They try and attack at the same time, but Milotic dodges by going in the water, and then coming back and firing back with water gun. Liko tries to have Florigato grab it with its bud the next time it comes around and then have the other two attack, but when she tries it, Milotic just jumps straight into the water, taking Florigato down to the water with her. As they're trying to figure out what to do next and trying to figure out the timing for when it might pop out of the water, Roy remembers seeing the yo-yo style bobbing at the Kitakami festival that Dot was doing, so he has Florigato use Quaxwell as a bit of a bait in the water. Then, when Milotic comes out, and it does, Fuecoco is ready to attack, and it does so with disarming voice. Milotic fires back with a disarming voice of its own, and it seems to calm down everyone in the area as the two Pokemon go from using moves at each other to just singing at each other, getting the terrestrialization to fade. Milotic then swims away. That's when Friede returns with Briar. She says that something in the Crystal Pool is causing the Pokemon to act differently. We don't learn more about Briar. She's close to finishing her research book that she's working on. When she sees Terapagos, she's super excited and begins chasing it around while writing about it. She then apologizes for it before we learn that the crystal in the Crystal Pool is made with the similar crystal to the one in Paldea, which is why the Pokemon here can terrestrialize in the wild in Kitakami, because Pokemon are drinking from the pool. We then learn a bit more about Briar and her work. Once our heroes tell her their stories about how Terapagos came to be, Lucius and the 6 hero Pokemon, and how they're looking for Laqua, we learn that Briar is trying to prove Heath's observation from the Scarlet Book. If you played the game, then you know the story already. It's pretty similar. Briar is a descendant of Heath, and just like in the game, she's never really owned a Pokemon because she's so busy with her research. She explains to our hero that Heath was a naturalist who went down to Area 0 and came across Terapagos and named it. He also saw a bunch of other Pokemon who are now seen as more of fake or occult stories, but she wants to prove that his observations are true. It's kind of similar to what Liko's trying to do with her grandmother and her stories about Lucius and the 6 hero Pokemon. The two are connected in that way. When Liko shows her Lucius's notes, she's able to see that he has terrestrial form of Terapagos in his book drawn, and they're trying to figure out what might cause that. When they ask her about Laquarium, unfortunately she doesn't know much. However, she's still excited to hopefully learn more. Later that night, they go to the Crystal Pool with Terapagos to try and get it to conjure up anything regarding Lucius, since the Crystal Pool is said to allow you to speak to the dead, but nothing happens. That's interesting to me. Why didn't it work? Is it because he's still alive? I mean, Gibeon is still alive, right? So that could make sense. Regardless, the next day, our heroes thank her for the info and plan to keep in touch as she leaves. Back in the Brave Volivine, the Voltacklers are trying to figure out what they want to do next and how they want to find the other 3 Pokemon that are part of the 6 heroes, but they don't know where to go or what to do next. While they're doing that, Dot is taking pictures and videos outside of Masui town when she comes across a Growlithe that looks strange. She comes across the photographer who owns the Growlithe, and when she looks it up in the Pokedex, she's shocked to learn that it's a Hisuian Pokemon and that it still exists, and she wants to know how. But the photographer asks her for a picture first before she can divulge information. Dot at first is hesitant, but she ends up allowing the picture anyway. The photographer then says that if she can beat her in battle, she'll answer her questions. The photographer brings out a Leafeon, and Dot has her Quaxwell. Even though she's at a disadvantage, she has Quaxwell dodge attacks and then fire back with low kick. When Leafeon uses Leaf Blade, Quaxwell uses its low kicks to kind of block the attack. But while doing that and dodging, it seems to learn a new move, Air Cutter. So with a flying move now at her disposal, Dot has Quaxwell counter Razor Leaf with Air Cutter before using low kick to KO Leafeon. Since she promised to answer questions, Dot shows her the image of the Kleavor that she has. When we cut back to the discussion about where to go in the Brave Olivine that's taking place, Dot barges into her room, bringing the photographer with her, because she is someone who's come across Kleavor. She then introduces herself to the group, and her name is Perrin. And that is where we end the episode. This is a very info-heavy, so I don't really have much to say. We got the battles between our heroes and Milotic and Dot versus Perrin, but both of them were pretty short, and they didn't really offer anything spectacular. One thing I will say is that I'm realizing more and more that I don't want a recap of the games in the anime like many do. The anime should be the anime. We can keep some of the basics from the game, but for example, The Crystal Pool event and the entire explanation is almost word for word from the game. If I want to learn those things, I can play the game. The anime should be doing something more interesting than just the games. The main thing I liked about the whole episode was just the connection they made to Liko's story and Briar's story and how similar they are in regards to talking about family legacy. With a bunch of lore here and a bunch of setup over the last couple episodes, it seems to finally be coming to an end next episode. I'm looking forward to the story about the 6 hero Pokemon continuing, and I'm curious to see how they're going to get Cleavor to join them. I can't wait. But what about you guys? What did you guys think about this episode? Let me know in the comments down below. Other than that, be sure to like, share, subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at PdGaming, and that's it. I will talk to you guys later. Peace.